The year was 2315. The war between humans and the alien race called the Zarnai had changed everything. Millions were dead, planets were destroyed. But Earth was still standing. Barely a mission was sent to the outer rim of the galaxy. The goal was to stop the Zarnai from launching another attack. 5 of Earth's best soldiers went on the mission. Only one came back, Commander Ilara. She was found drifting in her escape pod near a broken moon. Her ship was gone. Her team was gone. She had no memory of the last 2 days, but she was alive, and she was. Different Ilara sat alone in the cold metal debrief room. The lights above her flickered. A camera in the corner recorded her every move. She didn't blink. She didn't speak. Just stared at the wall like she was waiting for something behind. The glass wall, 3 council members watched her. General Reeves, Director Kale, and Dr. Mira. They had read the reports. They had seen the scans. Her brain activity was not normal. Her vitals were not human, but she looked like Ilara, spoke like Ilara, even smiled like her. "I don't trust her," General Reeves said. Arms crossed. "She's hiding something, Doctor." Mira nodded slowly. "Something happened out there," she whispered. "She's not the same." They turned on the speaker. "Commander Ilara," Director Kale said, "can you hear us?" Ilara turned her head slowly. "Yes," she replied. Her voice was soft, calm. "Tell us what happened," Kale asked. "We need to understand." Ilara smiled gently. "You're not ready to understand," she said. Guys. Strange silence filled the room. "What do you mean by that?" Kale asked again. "I saw things," Ilara said. "Things you can't imagine. The Zarnai showed me." Dr. Mira leaned forward. "Showed you what?" Ilara closed her eyes. "Truth," she said. "I saw the truth." Suddenly, the lights blinked. The camera glitched for half a second. When it returned, Ilara's eyes were open again. But they looked brighter, almost glowing. "Her vitals just spiked," Mira said, checking the tablet. "This is not normal." Kale tried to continue the questions. "Ilara, where is your team? What happened to them?" Ilara paused, then whispered. "They didn't make it." "Why?" "They didn't want to change." Before anyone could ask what that meant, Ilara stood up. The guards outside reached for their weapons, but she simply walked to the glass and stared at the council. "I'm not here to harm you," she said. "Then what are you here for?" Kale asked. "To help you," she replied. "To show you what's coming," Myra whispered to Kale. "She's speaking in perfect rhythm, like a machine. No stutters, no emotion, no fear." Ilara looked directly at the camera, then slowly raised her hand and touched the side of her face. Her fingers ran along her cheek, then to her neck. She smiled. And then she said something no one expected. "Remove my mask," she whispered. "This is the real me." The room went silent. Everyone froze. She wasn't wearing a mask, at least. Not one they could see. Reeves stepped back. "She's playing a game," he said. "No," Myra said softly. "I don't think this is a game." The recording ended at that exact moment. Later, when they replayed it, the video glitched again during her final sentence. Each time, her voice changed slightly, like 2 voices were speaking at once. One human, one not, behind closed doors. The council argued about what to do. Some wanted her destroyed. Others wanted to study her. But no one could agree. Meanwhile, Ilara sat in her room, still smiling, still waiting. She stared at the stars through the window. "Hey," and whispered to herself, "They will come soon." Far above Earth, deep in the black space, something was watching. Something that had heard her final words, and it was coming closer. The door to Lab Room 7 opened with a cold hiss. Dr. Mira stepped inside. Holding a silver drive in her hand, the label read, "Mission K-12, unclassified footage, restricted. Access only." She had to lie to get it. She had to hack 2 security layers. But something inside her told her this was bigger than anyone knew. The room was dark except for a single screen. She slid the drive into the slot. Her heart was beating fast. This was from Alara's helmet cam, at least what was recovered from the wreckage. The screen blinked and the footage began. It started. Normal, the mission crew walking through a jungle of black trees on a distant moon. Their suits were scratched, their boots sinking into strange purple mud. Elira's voice came through first. "Stay close, scan everything," another voice replied. "Readings are strange, Commander. No life signs, but the ground. It's humming." Then they saw it. A structure tall and broken, covered in alien symbols. Dark and silent, like it had been sleeping for 1,000 years. They entered the temple. The team lit their flashlights. And the beams showed giant statues. With empty eyes, one of them whispered, "This doesn't look Zarnay." And then the audio glitched. For 1 second, all 5 voices were replaced by a low whisper. Something in a language Mira couldn't understand. Then silence. The screen went black, then returned with static. The image flickered and now showed only Alara. She was standing in front of a glowing sphere. It pulsed like a heart. Her helmet was off. Mira gasped. This part had never been reported. Alara spoke slowly. Her voice was different. "I see now," she said. "I see who we were supposed to be." Behind her, the crew screamed. It was faint, like far away, but Alara didn't turn around. She touched the sphere, and then, her eyes bright white light. Suddenly, the video cut to black. For 10 full seconds, nothing. Then something even stranger. A recording of Alara inside the ship, talking to no one. She sat in the corner, whispering, "They don't understand. But you do, don't you?" She laughed. Softly, "I won't tell them yet." She looked straight at the camera. "You're watching this, aren't you, Mira?" Mira jumped in her seat. This footage had never been played, never accessed. Yet Alara seemed to know it would be. "Curious little doctor," Alara said in the video, smiling. "I left you a gift." Then she pointed down. The video glitched. Again, when the image returned, Mira saw something strange in the bottom corner of the video. It was code, alien code mixed with Terran symbols. Pulsing, shifting, almost alive. She ran a scan. The computer refused to read it. Warning. Unknown language detected. Possible cognitive hazard. Do not translate. But Mira overrode it. The translation appeared word by word. First, of many. Mask. Of flesh. Seed of the next. Remember the change. Then, final line. Truth is not seen. It is worn. Mira leaned back, her face pale. This was not just an alien attack. This was transformation. A message, a design, a future. Behind her, the door clicked. She turned fast. General Reeves stood there, staring at the paused screen. "You weren't cleared to access this," he said. She knew. Myra replied quietly. "She knew I would watch." Reeves walked in, eyes fixed on the image of Alara's glowing face. "What do you think she is?" he asked. Myra didn't speak for a moment, then finally said, "I don't think she's just one thing." Reeves looked at her. "Explain." "She's not Zarnai. Not fully," Myra said. "And not human either. She's both." Reeves shook his head. "Then she's a threat." "No," Mira said. "I think she's a message." The lights flickered again. Just like they had during Elara's debrief, the screen began to glitch on its own. New footage played. Uncommanded Alara walking through the ship. Alone, she stopped near a window. Looking out at the stars, her voice was soft. Almost a whisper. "They're watching Earth now," she said. "They're wondering if you'll wake up." She turned her head slightly, "But first, you have to let go." The screen turned black. 2 words appeared. Part 1. Complete. The cryochamber doors opened with a hiss. Cold mist spilled out like a ghost escaping into the air. Inside, a man lay frozen in ice, skin pale, hair white. His eyes were closed, lips slightly parted. The tag on the chamber read, LT Riven Hale. Mission K-12. Dr. Mira stared at the body in shock. He was declared dead, she said. Ship logs showed no survivors except Alara beside her. Technician Rowe ran a bioscan. This chamber was hidden in the debris, he explained. Auto sent to Earth through a separate escape pod. He's alive, but his body has aged. By how much? Mira asked. 50 years. Rowe whispered, but the mission lasted 2 weeks. Mira's mind raced. If time had passed differently for him, something very wrong had happened out there. Riven's eyes snapped open. He gasped for breath, coughing. Shaking, Mira stepped back as the man's eyes darted around the room. Full of fear, full of something else, something broken. Where is she? He croaked. Where's Alara? She's here, Mira said calmly. She returned weeks ago. Alone, Riven grabbed her arm. She came back. He asked, voice trembling. That's not possible. What do you mean? He stared at her, sweat on his brow. Alara didn't survive? She changed. Mira pulled her arm free. What did you see, Lieutenant? Riven closed his eyes. Images flashed in his mind. The alien temple, the pulsing sphere, the crew screaming, and Alara. We went inside the structure, he began. There was a light. Like it was alive, she touched it. Mira nodded. We saw fragments of that from her helmet cam. No, Riven said, shaking his head. You didn't see what came. After he looked at her with eyes wide open, like a child seeing a nightmare again. She spoke a language that wasn't hers. She smiled while the others were screaming, and then she looked at me and said something that still echoes in my head. What did she say? She said, don't run, Riven, become. The room fell quiet. Mira leaned forward. What happened next? I ran, he admitted. I activated the emergency cryopod. I didn't want to become. Mira frowned. Do you think she's dangerous? Riven didn't answer right away. He looked up at the ceiling. She's not Alara anymore. He whispered. She's wearing her face, but she's not her. The door opened. General Reeves entered the room, watching Riven closely. So you left your commander behind, he said coldly. I left behind a monster. Riven replied, a beautiful one. Reeves walked to the edge of the bed. If what you're saying is true, then we have a serious threat on Earth. Mira interrupted, or a misunderstood evolution. Riven laughed, but there was no joy in it. You think this is evolution? He asked. She didn't just change her body, she changed her mind. Reeves pulled out a device. He tapped it, and the screen showed Alara in a holding room. She was sitting still, eyes closed, hands folded. Like she was meditating, Riven stared at her image. It looks like her, doesn't it? He said, but look closely. Mira leaned in. The video zoomed on Alira's face. For a split second, her pupils shifted, not round, not human. They turned vertical, like a serpent's. Mira gasped. That wasn't in any previous footage. It wasn't supposed to be seen, Riven said. She's letting you see it now. Reeves narrowed his eyes. She's sending a message. No, Riven whispered. She's inviting you. The screen changed on its own. Alara opened her eyes, looking directly at the camera, even though she was across the base. She seemed to know they were watching. She smiled, then mouthed. 3 words, he remembers me. Mira turned to Riven. What did she do to you? I hear her in my sleep, he said. Every night she sings in my dreams. Reeves looked disturbed now. This isn't just about technology or DNA, he said. This is psychological warfare. Mira nodded, but it's also spiritual. She's not just a weapon. She's a symbol. Riven leaned back. voice weak. "She's the first," he said, "but not the last." A sudden alarm beeped on the console. "Incoming transmission. Encrypted code. Unknown source. Row." "Rushed in. We're getting a signal," he said, "from deep space." The message came through in distorted sound, but one line was clear. "The others are waking." Everyone in the room stood silent, eyes on the screen, hearts frozen like the man who had just woken, far away. In her room, Alara smiled again. Softly, she whispered, "They remember, asterisk, in a hidden archive deep beneath the Terran Council." Headquarters, a metal door stood locked behind 12 levels of clearance. This door had not opened in over 30 years. It was built for one purpose only, to hold something humanity hoped they would never need. The mask protocol. Dr. Myra stood in front of the door, holding a clearance badge that didn't belong to her. She had borrowed it just for a few minutes. She told herself it was for science, for the truth, but in her heart, she knew something else was driving her. Fear. The scanner beeped. The locks clicked, and the heavy door slid open. Dust and silence greeted her like old friends. She stepped inside, surrounded by rows of old paper files and outdated tech. No screens, no AI. This place was offline on purpose. She found the file marked Mask Protocol, Project Origin. It was thicker than she expected, wrapped in red tape and black warnings. She opened it slowly, page by page, and what she saw made her hands tremble. The project had started in the early 2200s. Back then, a deep space probe had intercepted a strange frequency from a dead planet. That signal was decoded into symbols, and then into words. The message said, "Flesh is only the first form. The mask is the key. You are not yet what you will become." The scientists believed it was nonsense at first, until Earth's first encounter with the Zarnai, until they saw what the enemy could do, shape-shifting, mind-linking, evolving mid-battle. That's when the Terran Council created the Mask Protocol, planned to defend against identity loss, infiltration, and psychological invasion. The file listed several strange cases: soldiers returning for missions, different families saying, "That's not my son," voices that shifted mid-sentence, eyes that reflected stars, not lights, every time. The subject would say one thing before breaking down. "This is not my real face." Mira stepped back from the file, her mind spinning. It had happened before. Alara was not the first. She flipped to the last page. There, scribbled in handwriting, was one final warning: if they return, never ask them to remove the mask. Suddenly, her comm device buzzed. It was General Reeves. "Report to holding room 3, he said. "She wants to talk." Mira rushed back to the facility. When she entered the holding room, Alara was already standing, waiting. She looked calm, even peaceful. But the air around her felt heavy. "I know where you've been," Alara said softly. "You opened the file?" Mira froze. "How?" "I felt it," Alara replied. "You're beginning to understand." "What are you?" Mira asked, her voice shaking. Alara stepped closer to the glass between them. "I am the next version," she said. "A bridge between what you were and what you must become. Is this what the Zarnai did to you?" Alara smiled. "They didn't harm me," she said. "They gave me a choice." "What choice?" "To evolve." Myra looked at her carefully. "You think this is evolution?" Alara nodded. "Yes. No pain, no blood. Just transformation." Reeves entered the room from behind. Looking tired and tense, he held a data pad. "We ran tests," he said. "Her DNA is changing every hour. Even the machines can't keep up." Mira turned to him. "And yet, she's stable." "For now," Reeves replied. "But how long until she loses control?" Alara tilted her head. "You still think I'm dangerous?" "You're not human," Reeves replied coldly. "You're a mask." "No," Alara said calmly. I'm what comes after the mask. Reeves raised the datapad. We found files. He said, cases like you, years ago, do you know what happened to them? Lara nodded slowly. They were afraid, so they fought the change. That's why they broke. Mira looked into her eyes. What happens if we don't? Fight it. Ilara smiled. Then you become more, suddenly. The lights in the room flickered again. Same pattern, same hum. But this time, a voice came through the speakers. Not Alara's, not Reeves', not Mira's. It was deep, distant, echoing through. Metal and wire, 1 mask has awakened. 6 remain. Reeves looked at Mira. Did that come from our systems? She shook her head. It came from her. Ilara stepped back and looked up at the ceiling. They're almost here. She whispered, I can feel them. Who? Myra asked, more like you? No, Ilara said, her voice low and distant. More like you. A sharp alarm sounded. Authorized data spreading across the network. The mask protocol was being copied to all secure terminals, line by line. It rewrote its own warning. You are already wearing the mask. Soon, you will see. Reeves yelled for the system lockdown, but it was too late. The message had spread, not just through machines, but through minds and Ilara. She simply sat down, closed her eyes, and whispered, they're remembering. The medical wing was silent. No one spoke. Even the machines beeped quietly, as if they too feared the truth. Ilara lay on a scanning table, eyes closed, skin glowing faintly under the light. Her blood had changed. It moved like liquid metal. Slow and intelligent, as if it was listening. Dr. Mira stood over the console, reading the results again and again. Her cells are rewriting themselves every 5 minutes, she said softly. They're not copying, they're creating. Technician Rowe looked over her shoulder. What's the source? He asked. She didn't inject anything. No external implants. Myra shook her head. She's not infected. She's evolving. Reeves entered the room, his face pale. Explain this, he said, pointing at the screen. Her DNA is no longer in human format. Myra looked up. She's forming a new pattern. Still partially human, but layered with code. Yes, she nodded. Not biological code data, actual encrypted sequences built inside her genes. Reeves stared at Ilara's body. She's becoming a machine. No, Mira said, voice shaking. She's becoming information. Suddenly, Ilara opened her eyes. I can hear you, she said, calmly. You don't need to whisper. Reeves stepped back, hand reaching for his sidearm. Ilara sat up, slowly, no fear in her movements. Her skin shimmered for a brief moment, then returned to normal. You still think this is a disease? She said, but it's not. It's memory. Mira stepped closer. Memory of what? Ilara looked her in the eyes of what came before humans. The room fell silent. Even the machines paused for a beat. I remember the first ones, Ilara continued. They lived in light, spoke in frequency, and walked among stars. They wore forms like clothes, but they forgot who they were. Rowe frowned. You're talking about myths? No, she replied. I'm talking about your ancestors. Reeves interrupted. That's enough. You're not. Ilara, anymore? She looked at him. Eyes glowing faintly again. Neither are you. He drew his weapon. Stand down, he ordered. Now Myra stepped between them. Wait, she said. Just listen. Ilara lowered her head. When I touched the sphere, she said. It didn't rewrite me. It remembered me, Mira gasped. You're saying you were always meant to become this. Ilara nodded. This isn't alien, she said. This is what humans forgot. The Zarnai didn't invade to destroy. They came to wake us. Reeves lowered his weapon slightly. Why the war then? Tested us, Ilara replied, to see if humanity was still capable of remembering. And the others? Mira asked, the ones who didn't survive. They rejected it. Alara said. They feared it. Mira sat down, mind spinning. If you're right, this changes everything. I'm not here to change everything, Alara said. I'm here to begin it again. Suddenly, alarms blared. A signal unknown, powerful, was entering Earth's orbit. The control center lit up with red lights and warnings. An object, shaped like a spiral, hovered just above the moon. Reeves tapped. Into the live feed. It's not attacking, he said. It's broadcasting. Myra looked back at Alara. Is this them? Yes, she whispered. They followed the memory. The signal played through every device, every screen, but it wasn't sound. It was images, memories, patterns. Children remembered dreams they'd never had. Elderly people heard voices from stars, and animals stood still, eyes watching the sky, Earth. Remembered, Ro ran into the room. Eyes wide, the data from her blood, he said. It's syncing with the signal. It's a map. Alara stood from the table. Her form flickered for a second, not breaking, just showing something beneath. Something made of light and shape and memory. Mira whispered, That's your real form, isn't it? Alara smiled. One of many. Reeves looked at her, not with fear now, but with awe. What are you? Alara stepped forward. I'm what you were always meant to be. Then she reached out and touched Mira's hand. A spark flowed through her, not painful, warm. And for a moment, Myra saw a galaxy filled with lights shaped like humans, planets where memory lived in the air, stars that sang names and a version of herself. Without fear, without limits, Mira gasped and stepped back, eyes full of tears. I saw it. She whispered, I saw the truth. Alara nodded. You're waking up, far above them. The spiral ship pulsed once more, and from within its core, 6 more signals began to glow. One by one, across the galaxy, the other masks were awakening, and Earth was just the beginning. Alara sat alone in the observation chamber. The walls around her were reinforced, thick and silent, but none of that mattered. The real battle was happening in a place no one could reach. Inside her mind, Dr. Mira watched her through a one-way glass screen. Alara hadn't moved for 6 hours. Her eyes were closed. Her heart beat slow, but the brain scans were chaotic. Flashes of memory, light pulses, unknown symbols, and 2 different wave patterns fighting for dominance. Human. And something else. She's trying to hold both forms, Myra whispered. But something inside her is pushing back. General. Reeves joined her, holding a tablet. We've received transmissions from the spiral ship. He said, They've stopped speaking to us. What do you mean? They've started speaking only to her. Inside the room, Alara's fingers twitched. Her lips moved without sound, and in the dark space of her mind, 2 voices argued. One was soft and warm. Remember who you are, it said. You are the key, the bridge. The other was sharp, cold, and ancient. They rejected the gift. It hissed, burn them, erase them. Alara stood within this strange inner world. She saw her old self a soldier, strong, proud, human. And then she saw her new self being made of energy, history, and memory. But both versions pulled her in opposite directions. Why are you fighting me? She asked, the cold voice. I am not your enemy. The dark voice laughed. You are weak, Alara, it said. They hurt us, feared us, hunted us. You want to forgive, but I remember everything. Alara turned to her glowing self. Is this true? The warm version of her nodded. They did fear us, she said. But fear is not always hate. You must choose what kind of memory you want to be. Outside her mind, Myra's screen flashed red. She's heating up, Ro said. From the console, her brain activity is crossing into non-physical data patterns. What does that mean? Reeves asked. It means her thoughts are broadcasting beyond her body. She's projecting. Suddenly, the entire base lights dimmed. Every system began to glitch. Screens showed unknown symbols. Not an attack, a pulse. She's not attacking us, Mira said. She's showing us, back in Alira's mind. The two forces clashed. The dark voice grew stronger. It showed her images of war, of human bombs on alien soil, of tortured prisoners, of fire in the sky. This is your truth, it hissed. You're made of violence. But then the warm voice returned, and with it came a new memory, a child looking up at the stars, a mother teaching her daughter how to listen to wind, a soldier choosing to save instead of kill. You are also this, it whispered. Your choice. Alara fell to her knees in the middle of her mind. I can't carry both, she said. They'll tear me apart. Suddenly, she heard a new voice. One she hadn't heard since the mission. Riven, you have to, his voice said from the void. You're not a weapon, Alara. You're a mirror. And in that moment, something clicked inside her. She saw both truths, not as enemies, but as reflections. Light and dark. Fear and hope. Destruction and growth outside the room. Alara's body levitated 2 inches off the floor. Her eyes opened, glowing gold and silver at once. The room shook, but not with violence. With release, the walls pulsed with light. The base systems rebooted. The spiral ship above Earth responded with a single message. Balance achieved. Myra stepped into the chamber. Slowly, carefully. Alara stood upright now, breathing evenly. Her voice was different, still hers, but fuller, layered. I'm not fighting anymore, she said. I've made peace. Reeves stared from the doorway. With what? Alara looked at him, calm and powerful, with what I used to be and what I've become. She walked to the center of the room and placed her hand on the glass wall. A memory transferred, brief and bright. Reeves saw Earth's future. Skies filled with knowledge, cities built from music, children learning by dreaming, and then darkness. Another path, one where humans rejected change, where fear burned the bridge Alara had become. You have to choose too, she told him. All of you. Mira stepped forward. What happens if we choose wrong? Alara's eyes softened. Then I'll be the last, she said. And you'll never know what you could have become. Far above them, the spiral ship began to open. Lights spilled out into space. Calling to others, the war inside her was over. But now, the war outside was just beginning. Not between armies, but between choices. And Earth had little time left. The sky above Earth was no longer dark. The spiral ship had opened like a blooming flower, and from its center, soft waves of light spread across the planet. People looked up, and for the first time in human history, they felt something they couldn't describe. Not fear, not peace, but recognition inside the Terran Council headquarters. Alarms were silent. No more warnings, no more countdowns, only silence. Commander Alara stood in the council chamber, not locked away, not restrained. She had walked in on her own, alone, unarmed, and yet the room was full of tension. 12 council members sat in silence. General Reeves stood beside them, arms crossed. Dr. Mira sat in the back, notebook in her lap. No one spoke. They were waiting for her to explain. Alara looked around the room slowly. I know what you're thinking, she said. You think I'm here to take over? She smiled gently. I'm not. The head of the council, Chancellor Vera, leaned forward. Then why are you here? She asked. Why return if you are no longer one of us? Alara stepped forward. I returned because I am still one of you, she said. But I've seen what lies beyond who we are now. She raised her hand and touched her face. You've called me many things, she continued. A hybrid, a threat, a warning. She looked down for a moment, then back up. But do you know what I truly am? The room remained silent. "I'm a mirror," she said. "Everything you fear, everything you hope, everything you deny, it's all in me." Reeves narrowed his eyes. "And what are we supposed to do with that?" Elara stepped to the center of the room. "You can choose to reject it," she said. "To bury it again like the first humans did, but the galaxy won't wait for you this time." She looked to Mira. "And I think you know that, Mira." Nodded slowly. "I saw what you showed me," she said, "and I believe it." Reeves turned to the council. "This is madness," he snapped. "She's speaking in riddles. She's still not human." "She's more than human," Mira replied. "She's what we become when we stop fearing ourselves." Elara took one deep breath, then spoke the words that stopped every heartbeat in the room. "Remove my mask," she said. "This is the real me." And then she changed. Her skin shimmered, not melting, not breaking, just unfolding beneath it. Light patterns of memory and thought, shaped like a human but glowing with knowledge. Not wires, not circuits. Just energy, alive and ancient. Some council members gasped. Others stood in shock. No one moved. Elara looked. The same but brighter, clearer, like a reflection you didn't know was blurry until it focused. "This is what I've always been," she said. "I wore the mask so I could be among you, so I could remind you of what you forgot." Mira stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "You're beautiful," she whispered. Reeves lowered his head. He couldn't speak. The council finally understood. Not with facts, but with feeling. They saw her not as an invader, but as a returned memory, a missing piece. "Others will come," Elara said. "Some like me. Some different, but they are not here to conquer. They are here to awaken." Chancellor Vera stood slowly. "And what if humanity isn't ready?" Elara smiled gently. "Then I'll wait," she said. "Because evolution doesn't need war. It only needs truth." She stepped back, the light within her fading just enough to match their world again. "I've shown you my real face," she said. "What you do next is your choice." Outside the chamber, the spiral ship pulsed once more. And then, without a sound, it began to rise, higher and higher, until it vanished into the stars. No invasion, no destruction, only silence and peace from that day forward. Earth changed, not through force, not through command, but through memory, through awakening. And whenever fear returned, whenever someone asked, "What if she comes back?" Dr. Myra would simply smile and say, "She never left. She is us, and high above the world." Where stars whispered in forgotten languages, a voice echoed softly, "Remove your mask. This is the real you."